So my thoughts are kind of somber today. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow for a woman I grew up with in my neighborhood. I was kind of in touch with her a little bit regarding just, her mom is, my mom's one really good friend left in the neighborhood. Her mom's 94. So she passed away of cancer several days ago. And and then I'm going to another funeral the next day of a young woman who passed away of sickle cell anemia, and she's a daughter of a good friend of mine. So, and then there's Hurricane Ida, having done such extraordinary structural devastation to people's safe spaces, where they have been riding out this pandemic all this time, and their safe spaces are either compromised or just destroyed, many of them. And then New York City just had the worst flash flooding in history. And meanwhile, I've got friends who are in California who are displaced by the wildfires, and mutual friends are chanting and sending well-wishing every day, that this enormous fire that's bearing down on Lake Tahoe structures, the other side of it doesn't flare up more, and yet their monastery, which has been less than 3 miles away from the fire for a week, it's kind of amazing that it's still standing. That monastery, Aloka Vihara. And also the bhikkhuni reckoned as foremost of all of the bhikkhunis, Venerable Kusuma, passed away this past week of COVID. I believe she was in her 90s. And she's someone who made a big impression on me personally. I hadn't stayed in touch with her over the years. I think now I should have, but I didn't. And I'm not saying all of this to overwhelm you, but to suggest what we can do with our hearts, with our minds. And one of I don't know if this person wants to be identified specifically, but one of the people here gathered here today just lost their father. So, so what do we do with this? What can we do with this? Because it's very easy to just get caught up in either obsession with the minutiae, looking at videos and kind of worrying and fretting, or getting angry at who does this and who did that, and why didn't this one wear a mask, and why, if you take another long distance trip in your car, you're going to hell because you're making global warming. You can get angry. Or to just go do some video games or something and hide. Like, there are various ways that we might want to, not really the best ways, but some ways that we might direct our attention. It really does help, I think, to do some well-wishing and some chanting to people and other beings that are in trouble. I think that gives us a sense of kind of channeling our concern into active assisting, instead of going into worrying and distress. But right now I want to talk about how the Brahma Vihara can be an assistance to us right now. I don't know, maybe none of you had any of these sorts of things on your, maybe few of you had any of these sorts of things on your mind already. Maybe I just bummed you all out. But I think the Brahma Viharas, loving kindness, compassion, joy, the joy of others, and equanimity, metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, have a special strength to them, a special power for us as a refuge for our hearts and a constructive way to direct our minds. And I'm sure there's more than one way to do it. I want to suggest a way of approaching the Brahma Vihara. I kind of put this together in my own mind more than hearing it from other teachers, I think. But I think it really helps to get grounded by directing these well-wishings, these, what's a short form of Brahma Viharas? These beautiful states. I think directing it towards oneself is very grounding and is a good starting point, even if you're going to be using directions or general classes of beings as your way of directing metta. Still, I think it can be very helpful for us to start with ourselves if we're not too alienated from ourselves, if we don't have a kind of remedial work to do to get past unfriendliness towards ourselves. And then starting with ourselves, this can be very helpful. One time I was on retreat, on a metta retreat at IMS, and I'm trying to remember how long the retreat was. I think it was a 3-week retreat. It was 2 back-to-back shorter retreats, 3 weeks total, something like that. And I was kind of a mess from going through some really, truly hard stuff. And the teachers ended up telling me to just do metta to myself the entire time. And I can't tell you how helpful that was to me, to really sit with metta to myself day in and day out for a long period. I think it changed me as a person. I think it just put my feet on a better path. So I don't think anyone should feel kind of embarrassed or selfish at directing Brahma, metta and other Brahma Viharas towards themselves. I think it's a really good way to get grounded, get out of kind of scatteredness and distress and worry, get the heart in a good place. And then it's easier to do this towards other beings. So whatever way a person is approaching the metta practice, it does seem to be very helpful to start with phrases, very classic phrases being, may I, or they be well, happy, and peaceful, or safe, well, happy, peaceful. I have a longer one myself. Do not feel obligated to use this at all. I don't think anyone has this one. May I be guarded, protected, clear, well, happy, and peaceful. So it's way too long. Guarded, protected, clear, well, happy, and peaceful. Guarded, like guarding my own sense bases. Protected, like in the devas helping me out and other beings helping me out. Clear as in mindful, clear, present. Well, physically and mentally well. Happy in all the ways of happiness, and peaceful, and always a peacefulness, including ultimate peace. So that one, that works for me, but I think just, this plain old simple kind of standard does. The standard simple, may I be well, happy, and peaceful is plenty, and easy to remember. But I also think that many of us kind of sort of like using kindling to get a flame going, or using, scratching at something to get a spark to get the flame going. Once you've got the fire going, you don't keep scratching at it. And so I don't personally see the need for the phrases once there's a natural kind of flowing feeling to the practice. So they're the Kickstarter to me. to me, they're the Kickstarter. And then once you get it going, then you don't really necessarily, in my experience, I don't necessarily need the phrases to keep this thing going. They're very, very helpful when you're just kind of hitting it cold. You just watch the last thing on the news and you're reeling from seeing water in the subway system in New York City. It's like, okay, may I be safe, well, happy, peaceful, whatever the phrase is going to be. So wishing it well to oneself. And so this is like loving, friendly feeling. It's very bright. It's very uplifting. And when you feel like you are really kind of resonating with that, then you could move on to other beings. Or today I'm going to suggest staying with the Brahma Vihara. The next one being Karuna. May I be free of all suffering. May I be free of physical suffering. May I be free of mental imbalance kind of suffering. May I be free of suffering in terms of, relationships, or suffering in terms of anxiety around global change, or suffering regarding anxiety about what about the, security and safety of my own safe house, safe refuge. May I be free of suffering of, secondhand suffering of seeing so much loss and pain around us. So compassion, karuna, is the heart getting wide enough to embrace a being in all of their messiness and hurt. And so when you're making your heart broad enough, big enough to embrace all of you in all of your messiness and hurt, it's very powerful. I mean, for some people, it's very natural. But if it's not natural for you, then this can be really an extraordinary kind of practice to do. Then when you're really like, you've gotten that kind of uplift and you've resonated with that well-wishing to yourself, and then your heart now is so big and broad that you're not closing yourself off in any way. You're not like having some coldness towards yourself, no shutting down of the heart towards yourself, no alienation, no physical or emotional kind of numbness or alienation, self-alienation, if that even phrase even makes sense. And then maybe you can see, now remember, when we first learn about the Brahma Viharas, it's hard to see the distinction between the metta and the karuna. But remember that the metta is very bright and light and heart uplifting, heart opening and uplifting. The karuna is where your heart is stable and steady and huge and able to hold the suffering of other beings, even able to hold, the sense of all the other beings in their suffering, in their messiness. If you can do that with you, you can do that with all the other beings. So if you can't do that with you, that's something worth really working with. To heal your own heart, develop your own heart to where you are fully there with you. You are holding your own hand no matter what. You're on your own side. You're there for you. Your heart is not closed off in any way. It's really worth just doing only that if you're not there yet. So you've had that brightening of the metta, you've had that holding of the karuna, and remember that can also be sometimes when it's been really, really tough for me. I have resorted to saying, you know, this is just what it is to be me right now, and it's okay. And I have taken my right hand and put it here like I'm holding a baby, and then my left hand stroking my arm. So there. This is just what it is to be me right now, and it's okay. This is just what it is to be me right now, and it's okay. In my grief, in my tears, in my worries, in my imperfections, in my embarrassments and humiliations, this is what it is to be me right now, and it's okay. Just this real, loving holding. Excuse me. So when the heart is there, you can do that. You've got that. Then you're ready to shift to, I think, mudita towards oneself has a lot of overlap with gratitude. Look how awesome you've got it. How awesome you've got it right now. Even if the painful thing that's most front and center is grief, you've got this amazing opportunity to help your fellows who are also grieving in the same context, your family members or whatever. Or maybe you've got electricity right now. How amazing is that? Maybe you've got water that's clean right now. How amazing is that? So try not to go kind of down with sort of survivor's guilt that your house is standing when you know of others whose safe place has been ripped away. But you know, it's kind of, if you're humble about it, it's kind of honoring them that you're like, oh wow, I do have these incredible advantages, these incredible benefits right now. You know, instead of just being entitled to them, feeling entitled, but recognizing that this is what's been done for me. This is where this is at for me at this moment. This is the work that I have, there's this work that I've done in the past that has led to this and that. Let me continue to do whatever good work is involved in that. Mudita is a good part of, it's like a helium balloon to the emotions. It's just, you know, we've had so much heaviness holding our grief, holding the grief of others, but good God Almighty, you've got it good, child. Look at this. Now a Toni Morrison song is invading my head. See, I remember music from way back. Why do you look so sad when the sky is perfect blue and you're getting everything you ever wanted to? So stop your, what is it? Stop your fussing, boy. Your time will come. So stop your fussing, boy. Your time will come. So we actually got goosebumps reciting. That's really funny. So yes, we really open up these you know, the depths of all of that sorrow and suffering that we're holding, or the world around us is holding, when we're, you know, opening to others. But dang, we've got it good. And be with that, and be okay with that, and be uplifted by that. And when we're sharing with others, even people in terrible situations are being helped by the Red Cross. Remember Mr. Rogers's wonderful advice in times of trouble. Jason, what is it? Tell us.
I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but it's something like, in times of trouble, look for the people who are going to it or running towards it, because they're the helpers.
So say it all again, the best you remember. If anyone remembers better than he and I, speak up.
The people going to the problem are the helpers.
Yeah. So look to those, but look to the helpers. So So even while even while people were retreating into their attics in certain areas of Louisiana, there were people who called themselves the Cajun Army, who were all just ready to go, as soon as it was, even arguably safe enough. they were going out there. And other people were at their computers or phones passing on the information. There's someone at this address, there's someone at this address. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people needed rescuing and were rescued by volunteers. And all of it passed on by other people. And they didn't just, it wasn't like even limited to the Cajun Army folks in their boats. They had to hand these people over to someone else and then go rescue more people. And then those people had to hand the people over to someone else. And there's so many helpers, so many people may have set aside their own worries and concerns and griefs to be there and be the healers, be the helpers. So even when things are just catastrophically bad, there's still brightness to rejoice in. And when we're coming back to this initial part where we're focusing on ourselves first, I don't think anyone here has got it catastrophically bad by the measure of human history. The measure of human history, we've got it better than kings and queens of ancient times. Next time you want hot water and it happens almost like that, just remember how hard it was to get to get other people to do that for you, or to go and get the water and get the fuel and fire it up and make that water for yourself. We got it good, way good, too good for the health of the earth, but that's another topic. As I sit here in my air-conditioned and fanned dwelling. So yeah, mudita, have that mudita. Don't be begrudging to yourself. Don't do the survivor guilt thing. Be truly grateful, truly appreciative. Smash the entitlement. That would make us fail to see how much goodness there is in our lives, from our past efforts, from the efforts of other people. In so many ways, we're standing on the shoulders of our predecessors, so many ways. Smashing that entitlement, we can have gratitude. It's a beautiful mental state. And then also, we can recognize the fragility of it, and not in a frightened way, but in a manner of appreciation. There's a bit of built-in shock absorbers every time we do that, kind of, have that understanding of the impermanent, fragile nature of all of our blessings. So not for getting worried. Be very careful not to slip into worry here, but to really understand that people did not have to do all the good things that they did that gave us our blessings. And we ourselves did not have to do the things that we did that helped us get to this place of blessings. The good karma of our past lives, the study and work that we did so far in this life, the kindnesses we did to others who then turned around and helped us. It's like you're standing on a pile of gold of goodness of your own and others. And none of them, neither you nor anyone else had to do the beautiful things that helped you have all of these blessings. So true gratitude, true appreciation. So the mudita for oneself. And then the real game changer in a way, upekkha, equanimity. And Jason mentioned earlier that you've been doing a lot the 5 reflections the 5 daily reflections that the Buddha recommended for men, women, male, female monks. Well, what is the 5th one? I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I do, for good or for ill, of that I shall be the heir. And I like to add Ajahn Brahm's incredible wisdom that whatever is going on with me, it's not me, it's not mine, it's not myself, not my problem, none of my business. And boy, does that take the weight of the world off of one's shoulders. Not me, not mine, not myself, not my problem, none of my business. I don't remember if he added none of my business, if I added that. Does he say that? None of my business? Okay, good. So let's go back to this. Okay, we've done metta, karuna, mudita to oneself. Now, upekkha. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I do, for good of it or ill, of that I shall be the heir. Like everything that's going on has some kind of cause and effect to it. Not that all of what happens to oneself is driven by karma. There's still just, the randomness of having, there's the karma of having been reborn in the sense field world. You've got a hand gets whacked. Got an eye gets whacked. Whatever we got, it's here to get whacked. So there's the karma of having been reborn in this realm, this kind of a realm at all. And so then there's then we're subject to temperature. We're subject to, all the conditions around us and the uncertainties and the changes. So not every single thing that happens to us is driven by karma, as I understand it. Not everything. Lots and lots of what happens to us is driven by just the fact that we are here and things happen, right? But then there's a lot that is driven by our karma. So one way or another, there's an awful lot of cause and effect going. Even if it's just, the cause and effect of physicality. A lot of cause and effect going on. And you know what? Bear with it. You bought into this. Nobody made you be reborn. Just you. Stiff upper lip. The more gracious we are about, the terrible repercussions of our stuff, I think the faster we can work through it. I believe that, but I don't remember it when it really need to sometimes. But awful lot of karma going on here. And let's add that deeper level of wisdom. Not me, not mine, not myself. This thing that I take as me, this being, this experiential quality of being that plows on, that rolls on moment to moment to moment, crashes through the present moment again, on and on and on. It's cause and effect, and cause and effect can be, brought to a state of peace. It can be unraveled. Doesn't have to keep going, but we can't directly tackle that. This is the matter of wisdom that can unravel this whole continuing to crash through samsara situation. So it's not me, not mine, not myself. There is this phenomena that I experience as me, that I misunderstand as self, that I want to control and take responsibility for and make okay. See, I want to, what we and I, all of us, until there's like really good stage of enlightenment, what we all tend to want is to get to be me and just get rid of that pesky suffering. It doesn't quite work that way. It's like this. It's tied together. It's like wanting to get rid of the front side of the quarter, but you want the back of it. You don't get that choice. So we can just remind ourselves for now, not me, not mine, not myself. So at least we don't take ourselves too seriously. One of the great insights I've had in this life, one of the most important, wonderful, amazing, hair-raising insights I've had in this life is that every time I've gotten into trouble, it started with me taking myself too seriously, without exception. Every single time I've gotten into trouble, whether it's just a flipping out of emotions quietly without anyone else knowing, or everyone is mad at me for that terrible thing that I said. Every single time I've gotten into trouble, it all started with taking myself seriously. I am an important being. I'm a very serious, important being. And what you say about me and what you do to me is very important because I'm a very important being. That is so deeply rooted. Maybe you're past it. Dallas is past it. But or maybe soon. Not me, not mine, not myself. And then those wonderful phrases. Oh, I love this from Ajahn Brahm. Not my problem. Not even any of my business. You know, I've been trying to point this out lately, that we come to some kind of understanding of our situation in samsara, and what the path may be and what the end goal might be. And then we think that we're going to kind of plow our way from here to there and sort of make ourselves be these ultimate spiritual beings, and everything will be great and we'll be past our suffering. But the thing is, it would actually be more beneficial to see a little shortcut here, that who and what I am is not my problem. In fact, nothing to do with me. It's a little shortcut. Because we can self-improve forever, and self-improve and self-improve and self-improve, and what you've got is an improved self. Which is great, you know. I like to be around improved selves. They're very nice. They'll give you their ice cream. They're very generous. They're wonderful. But that's no guarantee of nibbana. That's no guarantee that we won't just plunge in, you know, and start over the next life and be right where we kind of were at this start of this life. You know, some very good karma, awesome karma, but otherwise just still stuck in samsara. But that little kind of little stepping back, not my problem. So not meaning that we're, you know, hey, you're free to go. No, we still have work to do. But we're not going to help it by leaning into it with this willful intention that this is how it's going to be and evolve, and it's mine, and I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to make it happen, and my spiritual development is going to be awesome. I mean, we can get some distance with that, but we're not going to get the benefits special to the Buddha's teachings. So without dropping responsibility, if we can let go of the identification with the whole problem of this one, or any of you, letting go of the identification, not dropping the responsibility to do the next right thing, to do whatever we need to do, but not be so caught up in it being all about me, because it's really not. There's this cause and effect process that we can work with, so that there can be less suffering in the world, starting with this one. But not so not personalized. This is impersonal stuff. And the more we personalize it, we're not going the right direction. Impersonalize, depersonalize this whole path thing, and understand oneself as a being thing, as phenomena. That's what ever-changing phenomena, as opposed to this absolutely important being, absolutely important selfhood. To be shamed over too. You know, there's a real shadow side to this taking this identification business. A lot of shame and pain, guilt, remorse. There's some heavy stuff behind I'm a being, and I'm a very important being, and and I'm going to make my way through this whole spiritual thing. And I'm going to improve this wonderful spiritual being, and I am light. Like, you know, there's a real shadow side to that, of all this heavy weight of identification. Nothing to do with me. Ajahn Brahm just takes it further home, doesn't he? Nothing to do with me. I mean, who else is going around saying that? Like, yay, Ajahn Brahm. Thank you very much. Okay, so if we can get through metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha towards oneself, then I think we can, you know, intuit how we can do this towards others. You can do it in the various directions. You can think of the people of the specific disasters, or the people that you know to be in mourning, or whatever way that appeals to you, inspires you. But I think if we get this thing going, powerful metta, loving kindness, powerful mudita, karuna, compassion. Remember, no judgment, no hating on, just real, the heart wide open and resonating all of those losses and pain of so many beings in this suffering world. And then light up with that mudita, brighten up. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to remember the goodness and the happiness. And if it's really, really bad, look for the helpers. Rejoice with the fact that they're around, that they exist, they're here, they're among us. And the fact that someone else who's in a catastrophic loss situation has other people embracing them, feeding them, helping them. So the mudita, brightening, and the upekkha, karma. If nothing else, they chose to come back. Not really chose, but you know, they grasped at things in a particular way that made inevitable. They're still being tossed around by the horrors of samsara. If you think this life is bad, their last one was probably worse. I tend to believe that this is the best life I've ever had, and I have many bruises in this life, but I still tend to believe this is the best one. Remember, hot water? You kidding me? Air conditioning, hot water. Ooh. It's got to be the best one ever. And then getting to hear the Dhamma, wow. Wow, amazing, amazing. But yeah, so mudita and upekkha, yeah, so this equanimity, you know, we're the owners of our karma. So once again, we're the owners of our karma, or action is the other one. Owners of our karma, heir to our karma, born of our karma, abide supported by our karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, Of that I shall be the heir. Whatever karma they do, for good or for ill, of that they shall be the heir. So nobody invited them. They kept coming back, and they got hit pretty hard this life, and I'm sorry about it. And they, meaning, you know, everybody from all these disasters. And I haven't even mentioned COVID lately, right? Like, from all these disasters, we got ourselves born into this realm, and, you know, things happen. This is not a safe place. And then you have the additional specific karma, you know, of each person. They've lived in certain ways, and they will reap certain things. And you know, I think sometimes it's quite possible that really, truly amazing, awesome karma manifests as getting to be the helper in the disaster. So that is the talk that I want to share with you today.